Hurrah! What's up, everybody? It's your boy Infrar-Ed. Welcome to the Scout Report. Today I bring you an anime review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, Episode 2. I knew I was going to love this series. I read half of the manga, and I can tell you that this one is a little bit more complex than Stardust Crusaders, which made waves on its own. But the tone and the type of things that we're going to see and the things that go on and the stands is a whole new world in part 4. As we begin to see more complexity, we begin to see more intricacy being used with the stands. And this episode is no exception. This episode is actually just a start. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the episode. Where we start off with pretty much recaps Angelo and his crimes that he's committed and why he was in prison. But this time, we get to find out why he was in prison for so long, or the crime that was so hideous that no one wants to repeat it. See, this sick bastard ran into 3 13-year-old boys. He raped and killed 2 of them. The third he found out was rich, so he held him for ransom, which led to his conviction. But when they found the mangled body of this kid, his genitalia was severed and he had the damn thing nailed to the wall. Let me tell you something. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, they make sure that you hate the villains in this series. All of the villains dating back from the beginning have all been scum. I think the only one that had any type of redeeming qualities at all was Wham. Definitely this guy Angelo, he's a scum of the earth. Lowest of the low. He's right up there with some of the worst that we had in this series, and they make sure that you root for the good guys in this series. I'll tell you that right now. So without further ado, we got this dude. He's outside on a bike, dressed up as a damn milkman, looking like Debo on a little bike, sitting there cruising around the area, checking out Josuke's mom. He's right in front of the Higashikata house, and as the milkman, he comes up to her and says, "Here's your milk for the day." Now, the mom is smart. She notices that the milk seal is already cracked. He tries to debate it like, no, it's not. But she's like, yes, it is. Take this back. It has a crack in it. So he takes it back and he leaves and he grumbles to himself because he didn't succeed. We find out that his stand is called Aqua Necklace and it is dependent on liquid. So if there's liquid around, his stand can pretty much get through it and get to where he needs to go. So if you think about that, that's pretty broken. Think about all of the liquid that's around you. There's liquids in your body. It's glasses of water. It's the faucets. It's the toilet. It's leaks in the ceiling. Everything has liquid in it in some way. So this stand has the ability to be pretty broken. So after that, he stepped in some dog poop while he was talking to the mom, so he was already a little bit pissed off about that. And he sees the neighbor that had the dog that's not cleaning up his crap. And he goes over to the neighbor, grabs the dog, and he chews the dog's head off. Chews it up, just chews the dog's head off. And I'm going to get back to it, but the creator of JoJo, and I can't remember his name right now, something really bad must have happened to him with animals, because animals get it worse than the humans in this series. Seriously, go back and think about what happened with Iggy, all the way back to the beginning with Jonathan Joestar's dog. Just dogs and animals in this series. I'm surprised PETA isn't calling for this series head right now. But he grabs the dog, he munches the dog's head off, then he grabs a man, opens his mouth and spits the blood and guts and everything into the man's mouth from the head that he just bit off the dog. And you can see the stand go through the blood and the guts and everything into this guy's mouth, then comes out of his ears and kills him. And that's where we get confirmation of what Aqua Necklace is capable of. Through liquids, it can travel through liquids and possesses somebody's body. It can move through the liquids inside that it uses and tear someone out from the inside out. So after he confronts the neighbor, we go into our opening on this one as our killer's outside the Hishigawa house. Now the new opening, it's going to grow on me. It's definitely going to grow on me. It has like a kind of funkadelic look to the opening. It has a 90s/70s disco type feel to the song. as the opening is going through, we also see all the stand users. So this opening is going to evolve as we see more and more stand users. Overall, I like it. It's just, I like Bloody Storm from part 2 so much. I don't think anything is going to top that, and I just keep looking for the next one each time. So we finally get our new opening. Again, to me, it's just okay. But this is going to be a long series. This is a little bit longer than part 3, so I'm pretty sure we might even get 3 for this one. If it goes past the 50 episode mark, we might get a third intro, but first intro is just okay. I like it. It seems like it's going to be one that's going to grow on me later. So we get back to the household. Josuke is talking on the phone to Jotaro about what happened at the street with the robbery. And Jotaro's been doing his research. He tells Josuke, this stand itself is weak, but the user is able to control it remotely, so watch yourself. Anything around you, you want to stay away from. Don't eat anything, don't drink anything. Stay as far away from you can and don't engage it. But at this point, it's too late because the stand aqua necklace has already gotten it to Josuke's mom through her coffee, and he actually saw it. So he goes over to the mom and he distracts her for a little bit, like, hey mom, and she's like, hey honey, you want some coffee? Sure. So while she's around making the coffee, uses Crazy Diamond and crushes through her stomach. And before he did that, he also had a glass bottle in his hand. So he crushes through her stomach and then crushes the bottle, tearing it apart. Then uses his ability to reconstruct the bottle back and heal her stomach. And he comes back and he has the stand trapped in his hand with the bottle. So he has some skill with this stand already. He knows what he's doing. He knows exactly how to get out of situations with it. And I like seeing that because we don't have to deal with a learning period of him trying to learn how to use the thing. He already knows how to do it. So, and this happened so fast that the mom wasn't even aware. She was just like, oh, okay, here's your coffee. So that shows how fast Crazy Diamond is as well. So now that he's trapped the stand, he tells Jotaro, and he's just sitting around, he's waiting for Jotaro. And while Josuke is waiting for Jotaro to get there, he's in the house chilling. He's just laying back, listening to music. He's playing video games. And the video game that he was playing was actually the baseball game from part 3 where Jotaro was playing against Darby. So that was a nice little callback for the fans, a nice little Easter egg. Outside of the household, however, we see Angelo still stalking the house, and Josuke's grandfather is coming home, who you remember is a cop. And Angelo remembers that this was the cop that arrested him back then. So that adds a little bit of animosity to Angelo as well, fueling even more why he wants to kill the Higashi Towers. So he goes into the house, and the granddad goes into the house, and he sees Josuke sitting on the couch, and it's pretty early in the day. It's like morning or afternoon or whatever. He goes up to him, and he's like, boy, why aren't you in school? And he puts a gun up to Josuke. I'm like, oh my god, this Higashi Kata family's freaking savages, dude. I mean, for your granddad to see you not going to school and just put a gun up to your head like that, you can't get away with that. That's some old down south stuff. If you try to do that now, your ass is going to jail. But even if you try to threaten your kid in that sense, you're going to jail now. So I don't know. It's the 90s. You probably could have got away with it. So he does that, but after he pulls the gun back, he says it's just a toy and it's a trick. See, Josuke and his grandfather, they play tricks on each other every week to see who can scare the crap out of each other. But outside, we still got Angelo stalking around, and he remembers that the granddad used to take a shot of brandy every day. So he pretty much becomes brandy. So the granddad can drink it and he can consume it. And we flash forward some time has passed, and the next scene we see that the granddad is on the ground and Stannis came out of him. About this time, Jotaro came as well, so Josuke and Jotaro find his body, and they're very shocked at this point because his dad's just bleeding everywhere on the ground. And Josuke tries to use Crazy Diamond to revive him. He says, if the wound is minor, I can heal him. I've been doing this since I'm a little kid. He's desperately trying to get his granddad back up. But Jotaro has a concerned look on his face because he knows that the granddad's dead. And Jotaro's no stranger to death. I mean, he's seen, just go back to part 3 and look at everybody he's lost. He knows that hurt. He knows how it feels to try to make something happen. I think he kind of feels that Josuke knows that he's dead as well. But, he tries to console him. He tries to calm him down. And he lets him know that you can't revive the dead no matter what stand power you have. So we get a little bit of limitation of what Crazy Diamond can do in this episode. It can heal, but it can't bring back the dead. We also find out that Crazy Diamond can't heal Josuke himself either. So if anything happens to him, he's done. If you die, he ain't gonna bring you back. So we lose Grandpa Higashikata in this episode. And from there, Josuke says, from now on, I'm going to protect this city from scum just like my father did, because he was a cop for like 35 years. And some time goes past, they bury him, they put him in the ground. Josuke understandably is out of it. He hasn't been eating, he hasn't been sleeping, he hasn't seen his friend. We see his new friend Heroes come by, but he just leaves because Josuke hasn't been to school or anything. And if you lost anybody before, that hurt. It just bottles you up and you don't want to do anything but just think about them and just wish they were still there. And during this healing period, Jotaro took the mom away, put her somewhere else so she'll be safe. And they're eating and drinking out of only sealed devices, so canned foods, freshly opened soda, pop, or whatever they're using. Nothing to let Angelo get any type of leeway to get into them. All while this is going on, Angelo is outside stalking, and Jotaro will go outside from time to time and know his footprints and things like that to see that Angelo is still stalking him and following him around. But he's actually just been biding his time and waiting. He was waiting for it to rain, because think about it. Again, his stand needs liquid in order to travel. So now that it's raining, the entire house is wet. He can get in so many ways. He can get in through cracks. He can get in through the faucets. Once he was able to get in, his stand actually boiled some water, and that allowed him to come through the steam. And remember, when the spirit picture of this stand was taken, it looked like it was a monster face coming out like some smoke. So that explains what happened. Angelo is a piece of shit, but he was smart enough to know that steam is still water. So he was able to materialize his stand from there. So now the stand is in, Josuke and Jotaro are trying their best to catch it with Crazy Diamond and Star Platinum, but it's just too fast because it's liquid. If they hit it, it just bounces off and falls apart. And the room is starting to fill up with steam, which is really dangerous to them because that entire room would be a weapon for that stand. So we get to see Josuke use that ability he used in the trailer, where he punches through the wall, steps through it, and then use Crazy Diamond to seal the wall back up, getting them away from the steam. And Angelo was expecting that. As he was outside, he used more steam in the next room to get into Josuke. Josuke got some skills. This is a really smart kid. I'm liking him already. The stand was able to get inside of Josuke, but before that happened, he took a plastic glove, and he deconstructed the glove, put it inside his body. So once he got possessed, he reconstructed the glove and pulled it out. Now the stand is trapped in the glove. And now that they have the stand trapped, I'm assuming it's still, if you damage the stand, you damage the stand user. So he smashes the stand. He's able to find out where Angelo is. And they get Angelo outside, and they back him into a corner. They back him up against this rock. And at this point, Angelo is pleading for his life. He's like, no, you can't do this. Don't kill me. If you kill me, you're going to make me you're going to become just like how I was. Killing me is not going to get anywhere. It's not fair, blah, blah, blah. Josuke is not trying to hear it. He's saying, after all the things that you've done, you don't deserve death. You're going to repent for eternity. So, against this steel wall, he calls out Crazy Diamond. And as he's bashing him, he's bonding Angelo's body to the rock, to the point where it's just his face sticking out of this rock, and he made a monument out of Angelo. And in fact, they say that this is a monument of Moria Town, which is the Angelo Stone. And they say number 1, so it's going to be interesting to see if we're going to see more landmarks like this throughout the series. But it's called the Angelo Stone, and they say this is actually a place where lovers come to meet, despite his scary face. So that was a little bit funny. Now he's trapped in this rock for eternity, and he just gets to look at people, and he can't do anything because he's bonded in stone. Josuke brushes it off. He walks away, and we get the classic Yare Yare Dezei from Jotaro as our episode ends. And it was a phenomenal episode. Even better is we get a new ending theme. Jojo is a product of his time, and the ending theme for this season is I Want You by Savage Garden. You know that, ooh, I want you, yeah, ooh, I. That's enough of my singing. But that was man, I heard that song and I automatically just started smiling and started marking a little bit because that was one of my favorite songs, and that was a really hot song back at the time. So they knocked the ball out the park once again with the ending theme. We started out with Roundabout, that was in the 60s and 70s for part 1 and part 2. Part 3, we got Walk Like the Egyptian, and we got Last Train to Paris. I'm sorry, Last Train Home, not Last Train to Paris. That was in part 3, and this time we got I Want You by Savage Garden. Again, sticking with the time with the music. And Jojo, you know, they have music references all across this series. Even the name Crazy Diamond itself comes from a Pink Floyd song, Shine On Crazy Diamond. And that's the reason why, if you're watching on Crunchyroll, it says Shining Diamond instead of Crazy Diamond because of copyrights. So yeah, that was the episode in a nutshell. Holler me in the comments. Let me know if you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Jojo is the star of the hype train on Fridays, and I loved it. I love this episode just as much as I love the first episode, and I know there's only going to be more to come. Are you interested to see where things are going to go from here? I know I can't wait to see some of the rest of the stands and see the more intricate things that we're going to get into. In the opening, we do get a preview of the next character coming up, and he has a stand that looks like it can swipe and open up the time portal. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but it's clearly not a spoiler because it's in the intro, but we'll get that person next week. And yeah, thank you for joining me. As I always say, you guys can be anywhere on YouTube right now, but you chose to listen to me, and I really appreciate that. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for joining the Scott Report. Be sure to check me out tomorrow. I'm going to review Kiss Navier, whether I like it or not, just to get a first impressions video out there. So stay tuned for that as well. And also, you know, in addition to the Scout Report, you can also check me out on Imperfect Geniuses with my friend Chucky Jay, where there we bring you the hottest, latest, and greatest comic and entertainment news and reviews. So be sure to check that out as well. I have a link in the SoundCloud. Once again, thank you very much for joining me. It's your boy Infrar-Ed signing out. See you soon.